Are you done?
All right, will each of my audience members come forward and just show the camera that you're here, please? 3. Okay. To begin, 1 out of every 8 people in South Dakota is food insecure, according to Feeding South Dakota's website. For those under the age of 18, 1 in every 5 children is at risk of going hungry. Because the state is hungry to collect its yearly revenue, there are a percentage of South Dakotans suffering at the cash register when paying for their family's groceries. Buying and eating food is a basic human right that deserves tax exemption. Therefore, the state tax on food should be eliminated in South Dakota. To preview my 3 main points, first, the food tax is regressive. Secondly, the food tax is immoral. And last, the food tax could be removed in a revenue-neutral way. South Dakota was named as one of the top 10 most unfair tax systems in the U.S. But why? The explanation leads me to my first main point. First, the food tax is regressive. The Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, or ITEP, is a non-bipartisan, nonprofit research organization which publishes reports based on income levels. According to the 2015 report titled Who Pays?, South Dakota is just one of 7 states that does not tax personal income. However, this statistic does not come without a price that is paid for too abundantly by the poorer residents of the state. States that do not tax income, like South Dakota, fund their budget by instead imposing higher rates of sales tax, which is the tax paid for by consumers when purchasing items or services. The state imposes a 4% tax, while most cities impose a 2% tax, which means together most consumers pay a 6% total, which is abnormally high in the U.S. But it is necessary for South Dakota. South Dakota is named as by ITEP as having an unfair tax system because sales tax is considered an extremely regressive tax, meaning it collects a larger percent of income from the poor and middle class than the well-off. In February, I talked with Kathy Brecklesbauer, who is the coordinator in South Dakota for Bread for the World. She simplified the issue very well. Yes, while the sales tax is a flat rate, meaning it charges everyone the same rate, that is the problem when it comes to buying food. A family of the same size pays the same amount for food, right? Well, if one family has a lower income than the other, the poorer family takes a much larger bite from its total income to simply pay for food, while the more well-off family still has a sizable amount of income left over. Sales tax does not fluctuate based on income. All families, regardless of income levels, are still expected to pay the same amount, regardless of income. You can't buy used or cheap food and expect the same nutritional value. That is what makes the food tax different from all other sales tax items. To review my first main point, South Dakota's sales tax demands a flat rate. So the first reason why the state sales tax on food should be eliminated is because the food tax is regressive. Not only is the system unfairly regressive, but it is also unjust because the sales tax includes food. To prelude my second main point, the food tax is immoral. Above all, South Dakota's regressive sales tax are necessary if the state does not impose an income tax. However, they absolutely should not include the basic human right of food. According to the official website of the South Dakota State Legislature, alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and soft drink, vending machines, food from vending machines, and prepared food would still be tax deductible under House Bill 1193. Taxing food that is necessary for growth and health should not be a source of revenue for the government. We should not force consumers to choose unhealthy options for their families based on their lower income. According to a presentation handout distributed by Bread for the World, updated in 2015, titled What's Wrong with Taxing Food and Utilities, yearly the average amount collected by a family for sales tax could pay for the groceries for 3 weeks. Also, almost an entire dollar is collected by sales tax when a mother buys for baby formula. As we are a nation pushing for healthier standards, the food tax does not support such a vision. Using statistics from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Census Bureau, food stamps, or SNAPs, only paid for about half of the cost for the bottom 20% of low-income residents in 2013 for groceries. To review my second main point, the state is collecting money from our basic human right of eating. So the second reason why the state sales tax on food should be eliminated is because the food tax is immoral. If the food is immoral to tax, how can a bill to remove it pass in South Dakota with a conservative tradition where every cent matters? This leads me to my last main point. Third, the food tax could be removed revenue neutrally. The next information was given The next information was collected from the South Dakota State Legislature official website under House Bill 1214 in 2012 and House Bill 1193 in 2015. Fiscal responsibility is a normal cost, but who wants to stand in the way of a person's right of possessing food? The good news is that removing the food tax could be 100% revenue neutral, meaning that the percentage of revenue normally collected by food tax could be made up by simply increasing the rate of sales tax for all other items and services from 4% to 4 35/100%. In 2015, this proposal was titled House Bill 1193. Others offered that the 4% state tax on food be phased out little by little each year, when and if, and only if, South Dakota experiences good economic conditions. According to the legislature hearing preceding the vote for House Bill 1193 in 2015, it was announced, all in all, that the food tax accounts for just 7 to 8% of the total revenue collected by sales and use tax, which means while the food tax is broadly based, the state itself collects the majority of its revenue from other sales tax items. South Dakota would hardly face hardship considering it normally there is leftover money in the revenue deposit anyways. There are proposals to remove the food tax that everyone could support. The third reason why the state sales tax on food should be eliminated is because the food tax could be removed revenue neutrally. To many voters, citizens, and legislators, the money matters, but removing the food tax is a moral imperative that needs to move forward. So in conclusion, the fact that the food tax is consistent should not be addressed to fit within the agenda of a proponent to food tax. Instead, the consistency of the tax should be addressed to fit for all that believe that the food tax should be removed. Of course, the food tax is a consistent tax. It is inescapable for all South Dakota residents because food is necessary to have life. A human right should never be taxed before consumption. One can wear used clothing, but not used food. I believe taxing groceries is cruel to the poor residents whom are forced to spend larger shares of income. If a revenue-neutral bill was proposed, wouldn't you make the ethical choice to give food to hungry? I encourage you to talk to state legislators and vote to remove the food tax in upcoming ballot elections, because the food tax is immoral. The food tax should be eliminated in South Dakota. To review my 3 main points, the food tax is a regressive tax. Second, the food tax is immoral. Third, the food tax can be removed in a revenue-neutral way. Thank you for listening, and I hope you see the imperativeness that the tax be removed in South Dakota. Thank you.